What do we even think of this game? This is another one of those games where I have no idea what's going on. Early access for $10. Build a new civilization or be consumed by creatures. The worlds are tiny and numerous. Oh, so you get multiple planets. This actually sounds really cool. What are the reviews on this? 15 reviews? I may not be good at reviewing games on Steam. You begin with nothing. All you have is a crashed ship. Okay. You start on a small planet with resources and settlers, and try not to have them die from trolls. The game is really good, but difficult. You can colonize other planets too, but I would recommend playing a temperate planet. Why are so many people such bad writers? Do you know why it is? Do you know why it is? It's because the education system is total shit. Do you guys want me to do you guys a huge favor? Like, how many of you are in school? Press 1 if you're in school. I'm about to like change your fucking life. I'm interested. I want to know. 1 person, 2 people, 3 people, 4, 5. Okay, a lot. Wait, Mihawk, you're still in school? 6 people. All right. I guarantee you haven't heard of this. Check this out. This is called Hemingway.com. This shit is amazing. What it does is you copy and paste something into it, and it tells you why you're an idiot. Okay, so let's do this. So check this out. So what this does is, okay, first of all, you start the game on a small planet with some resources and settlers, and you need to build. Okay, so this tells you the sentence is too fucking hard to read. It tells you that the readability of it is grade 8, which is good. You want to be lower in grade, right? Oh, you're already on this? Do you know about this? No. So lower grade is good. You might not think so, right? But if you write something in like grade 12, it's too hard for most people it's too big brain for most people to read. So you actually want to go lower in quality. So simple sentences are really good. I've read a lot of books on this, right? One of the best books on this is called Bird by Bird. There's also a book by William Zensler called On Writing Well. But the short of it is like, if you have a sentence like, and you'll see a lot of people do this, especially on the internet, people will be like, I'm vastly disappointed with, I spelled that wrong, with the quality of this video game. In its infancy, it wasn't even adequate. And I am appalled by the nature of this game's tenure on my life, right? Or you could just say, this game is bad. Okay? This is good writing, right? Who was the famous author that wrote a story? Famous author, 1-sentence story. So people that can write really well, write less. No, it's not Donald Trump. Fuck off. Okay. Here. So check this out. So this is was it Hemingway that wrote this? Ironically. Let me see who wrote this. Oh yeah, it is Hemingway. Okay, check this out. This is the story. For sale, baby shoes, never worn. The amount that is told in that one sentence is really impressive. Yeah, Pepe Hands. I am dropping frames like a motherfucker. I'm really angry. I don't know why it's happening. Okay, but we're back. Good stuff. Okay. So, short is always better. You wouldn't think it. And then, so to like kind of criticize my sentence too, right? Adverbs are almost always bad. This is a really interesting thing. So vastly, right? You'll see a lot of people write like very. You'll write a lot of you'll see a lot of people write like mostly or like all these things, right? But if you have a sentence where you say this is vastly overrated, right? It's actually more powerful to say this is overrated. It's actually more powerful to say that. But just saying this game is bad doesn't tell you anything. It doesn't need to, because most of what people get from writing is emotion. They're trying to get a feeling from it, right? This is how marketing works. So, well, I guess it depends on what your objective is. Let's answer it that way. If your objective is to describe something as well as it can possibly be described, then you most likely need like another sentence or like a qualifying thing. Yeah. So my speech is not as good as my writing. So I would say that the goal of writing is to express your thought to another person. So in that sense, shorter is almost always better. I think adverbs and like overly descriptive prose is like often like a crutch, right? I always thought that being super formal would always come across better because you seem more educated. Yeah, you would think so, right? But people just think you're a douche. The problem is that everyone's trying to do that. Does that make sense? So like everybody's trying to come off with like using the big words and stuff like that. So when you say something, so like very simple writing is a lot better. So if you say, like, if we take this sentence, right? Trump disagrees. Trump uses this all the fucking time. Trump uses this constantly. This is how Trump markets himself. He always does this. He uses very simple things that he repeats over and over again. So people get an emotional response to it, and he doesn't explain it at all. Oh, okay. Said Sticks was agreeing with me. Okay. I was like, yeah, he does this all the time. So if you use a simple like this, I always thought that being super formal would always come off. You could write this like if I wanted to make this into like a marketing thing, right? I would say being formal always comes across better, period. I could also say being formal comes across better, right? And that's like, I could always like cut the fat out of this, and this is like a very strong sentence. Or I could say, because you seem educated. No. And then I can use more power words. Like being formal comes across better because you are educated. And you can keep doing this, right? Audience matters and the material you're conveying. I don't think this applies 100% of the time. It applies 100% of the time. It applies in like, even if you're doing a PhD, like a dissertation, it applies. If you can write shorter, so really good writing people. So there's a really good writing class at Princeton that did this, where they say, okay, write the same story 3 times. So write it once as a 5-page story, write it as a 1-page story, and then write it as a 1-paragraph story. And you find how many times that a story, or how much better a 1-paragraph story is than a 5-page story. You guys don't have to write better in Twitch chat. It doesn't fucking matter. I'm just saying this. But a lot of people are saying like this is like a situational thing. It's not. It's always like it's rules of writing. Like these, like you can always do better. So Hemingway app is one of the ways to do this. A lot of problems are that people make sentences too long. So like what I'll do is like I'll criticize this, right? You start the game on a small planet with some resources and settlers. Okay, there should be a period here. This makes this a better sentence, right? Right there, that's a stronger sentence. You start the game on a small planet with some resources and settlers. Okay, that's the only thought I need from that. I've gained everything I need from that, right? You need to build, and then say, you need to build up an empire and try not to have all your settlers die from trolls. So I'd say you need to build an empire and avoid having your settlers die to trolls. Stronger sentence. We're learning how to write. Okay. This game is really good. Sucks. This game is good. Uses... Oh, okay. Big point in writing. I don't know why we're talking about this, but this is kind of cool, right? Okay. The game is really good. Instead of saying really good, instead of... you use a stronger Is good a... Am I an idiot? Hang on. You use a stronger noun in this case. I was thinking good can be an adjective or a noun. That's why I got screwed there. Okay. So the game is really good. Let's delete really, and let's say the game is great and pretty difficult. Ooh, pretty good, right? Okay. You can colonize other planets too. Period. This should be the end of that paragraph. Okay, follow the channel to get a big brain. Okay. It doesn't really... Now, this sentence is not very strong because it doesn't tell you what, like, colonizing... So I would say you can colonize other... You can... Let's say... Colonize is a bad word because it doesn't describe what you're doing, right? You can build... You can also build on other planets. Or you could refer to build your empire on other planets. Okay, strong sentence. It also keeps the consistency. You could say you can even build your empire on other planets too. That's strong too, right? Yeah, we're just pulling this poor Steam. Like, this guy's probably like literally 11 years old, and I'm just like... You can also expand your empire onto other planets, even stronger. See, you guys are doing it. Onto other planets. Strong. Okay. Now, separate subject matter, right? I would recommend going to another template planet before going anywhere else. I assume he said template planet. So you can say going to a. You don't have to say another. And you would say, instead of I would recommend, go to a template planet before going anywhere else. Super strong sentence compared to what we just had, right? I would recommend going to a template planet before going anywhere else, right? Versus an actual directive. Oh, I want to do that, right? My peebs died. Oh, is he saying temperate? Okay. Go to a temperate planet. See, I can't understand. Same sentence applies. The first... And I might actually move this sentence up here. Okay. Notice I'm down to grade 5, right? I'm making this for preschoolers because that's most of your audience. It's probably me. I'm dropping a lot of frames for some reason today. My fiance is doing something, or it's the internet. I don't know. I'm dropping about 0.6% of my frames, which sucks, but whatever. The first time I went to another planet, I went to a desert planet. This is a sentence I might like completely rewrite. So it might be like, my peasants died the first time I went to another planet because there was no resources. So now that I've typed that, right, that's my first sentence. I changed this. So, first of all, that's wrong. There were no resources. And then this sentence is actually a sentence I wouldn't edit. In its current state, I rate this game a 6.5 out of 10. My peasants died the first time I went to a desert planet because there were no resources. Because desert was stronger here. So let's delete all this. You could also, yeah, if you wanted to, like, this is like, I think overly sort of, but you could say for now I rate this game a 6.5 out of 10. Okay. So I moved him down from grade 8 to grade 4. Everybody can read this, right? Like this is a very strong review. Nobody will have any trouble understanding this review, and I didn't take away from anything that he said in his original review, right? So his original review here was like super long. It was like a bunch of stuff, right? I lowered that down several sentences, and then I didn't want to trust Amazon, right? No one will have any trouble ignoring the people in 1st and 3rd grade. That's true. Yeah. Pretty difficult or challenging? Yeah. You could say great and right. So you guys are getting it though. You can do this forever, right? And if you go to really good writers and you paste this in there, you'll see that this follows the you'll see that like all famous novelists pretty much follow this rubric. And some people can be very descriptive, but they do it in sort of short prose. And once you learn how to do this, I promise you, your writing will be way, way better, and your grades will be way better too. Now, when I write, I'm mostly interested in writing for marketing. And in marketing, have you read some of Hume's Inquiry Concerning Human Understanding? Didn't you say that you had a hard time reading it? Was his writing bad in your opinion? Yep. I think Hume and Jung and all these people are not writers. They're psychologists, and they write shit in the most intentionally complicated bullshit. Archetypes in the collective unconscious. Jesus, dude. Like, I have to read one page of a work of Jung like 12 times to get any idea of what the fuck he's talking about. Yes, that's a fault of the person trying to convey the idea. Like, a person that really understands a subject is... Watch like Mylixia fucking criticize every great philosopher, but here we go. A person who truly understands a subject, I think, can teach it to another person in a way that they can understand it. Maybe through analogy. So it's like, okay, tell me how this archetype is like an apple or like an orange, right? I wonder if this is why J.K. Rowling's other book series didn't sell too well. Her writing style went from a place in which everyone could understand it, and then morphed into something that was more for adults. Yeah, that was why. It's people that get too full of themselves and think that like they're trying to like write for someone that some like fantasy person that's like better than them. But yeah, that's like Rowling did do that for sure. A lot of philosophers suck at writing. Understanding something and being able to really convey it is like a true sign of mastery. It's a matter of ego. I completely agree, said Stick. Yeah, it's and like... Not surprisingly, like Nietzsche and Freud and all these people are all ego, right? Like they think as these philosophers, they think they've come up with like this like big brain fucking thing where it's, and they have, right? Like they've legitimately done that. They feel that way because it's intuitively because it's true. The things that Jung had come up with has pioneered Western psychology. Same with Freud, right? Most of the way that we do behavioral psych is because of Freud and Jung. And so this is like some really big brain shit. But when they try to explain it, like if you read anything from Jung, it's like fucking crazy. I wonder if I can, like, get an excerpt of this. Yeah, here we go. Ready for this? A group experience takes place on a lower level of consciousness than many the experience of the individual. This is due to the fact that when many people gather together to share one common emotion, the total psyche emerging from the group is below the level of the individual psyche. If it is a very large group, the collective psyche will be more like the psyche of an animal, which is the reason why the ethical attitude of large organizations is always doubtful. The psychology of a large crowd inevitably sinks to the level of mob psychology. If therefore I have so-called collective experience as a member of the group, it takes place on a lower level of consciousness than if I had the experience by myself alone. Okay, and like these are some of his most powerful quotes, and that still doesn't make like any fucking sense. I get what it means because I have a background in psychology and I understand it. But Jesus, right? And this is like these are like actual quotes. If we read some of the excerpts, I just want to find some like random stuff from the book. It's like actually bananas. That's why I think Jordan Peterson is so popular. He articulates many things people cannot articulate themselves. Well said. That is exactly why Jordan Peterson is so popular, because Jordan Peterson will explain things as analogies to stories. That's why he's so powerful. He'll explain something in an old story. So he'll say the act of becoming a man is like the story of the knight taking the sword to slay the dragon. The dragon being all of the problems in life and the knight being you, right? And then everyone can understand that is like, everyone can understand that journey because he's relating it to story. I guess I could just search for a PDF. I don't know why I didn't do that. This is not right. That's not what it is. Yeah, so like case in point, the number of people that have to actually write about this guy just to try to explain what the fuck he's talking about is vast because nobody can actually understand the guy. This is not because he's some like big brain dude. It's because he doesn't know how to fucking convey his ideas. And look, I'm the biggest Jung fan you'll ever get, right? Like Jung has like changed my life in the way that I look at like the way that I look at life. That doesn't mean I can't criticize him for being a bad writer. But also take what I say with a grain of salt, because I also write with the goal of, I said this before, this is what I was trying to get to. I write with the goal of marketing to people. So I want to sell you something usually when I'm writing something, because I come from business. I come from big business with a big brain, okay? So when you write for marketing, you usually want to write very short sentences. One of the best people at writing copy is a guy named Ramit Sethi. And I'll copy an email from him right now. That I'm just pulling at random. I haven't read this at all. This guy writes copy super well. And it's if you look at like how marketers write things, it's usually like 2 sentences spaced so that you have sort of like a structure of thoughts that are really short. And then it like leads you to think of things. There's like a lot of bullet points and stuff like that. So I write very similar to this, and he also cuts out like a lot of fat in how he advertises. He'll write something like, so this was, you're maxed out on savings, now what? And he'll say something like, other than starting a side business, what are the best investments I can make in the name of increased cash flow? Dividends, stocks, indexes, or income property? Best way to start, assuming I'm totally debt-free and already maxing out on retirement accounts. My answer, you have a lot of options, ... leads you into, you might be surprised to hear me say that you can cut costs to increase your cash flow. This makes me want to read the next thing. I might be surprised that you said that. What's happening next? The people I know, typically is a bad word. I should criticize him for that. The people I know who are maxing out retirement accounts make a considerable amount of money, 6 figures, often multiple 6 figures. Depending on their spending, I can often find $1,000 a month to $5,000 a month that they can cut without much difference in their lifestyle. This is extremely interesting. He's making a very big claim, right? He should have removed depending on your spending just to make himself sound way more confident. Because this sentence, if you look at the structure of this sentence, right? Just removing this makes this sound way more confident and stronger. That's 12K to 60, but still really interesting, right? That's 12K to 60K. So he deliberately writes like this because he understands everything has to lead into a normal thing. And at the end of this copy, he'll have a call to action where he'll actually tell you what he wants you to do. But this is all leading into that call to action. He's aware of it, what he's writing, right? He asks you questions, right? The largest question I have for you is why focus on cash flow versus increasing your overall net worth? For example, in exchange for more cash flow, are you willing to accept lower returns on your investments? There's pros and cons to both, but it's something to consider. I'd urge you to be able to focus on your overall picture, not get tunnel vision about cash flow, right? Now you'll get down. Okay, boom. If I sat down with you for 15 minutes, I could help you find out what your goals are and how to use money to make those goals a reality. Since I can't sit down with every one of you, I created a course on advanced personal finance. I recommend you join. I never read this email before, but I knew he was doing that. I told you exactly what he was going to do, right? And he did it. So he's leading you into a whole thought process with as much brevity as possible to get you down to the point where you're actually going to click on this course, right? And he's looking at the heat map of this email. He's looking at exactly where you stop reading if you leave. He's looking at exactly where you linger, and he's taking that as an overall studies to try to figure out where he can put this advertisement to get you to click on it. And then he'll also do a thing that copywriters very typically do, which is like he'll put this here, and then he'll keep doing like the value adds, and then he'll put another link here, right? Then he'll put another link here. And these like PS reminders things, right? This is expert copy. There are very few people in the world that can write copy better than Ramit Sethi. This guy runs a website called I Will Teach You to Be Rich that he has made tens of millions of dollars off of with just him. He has a team now, but yeah. Cool stuff, right? Mylixia, I just watched your YouTube video. Love your content. Hey, thanks, man. Appreciate it, dude. What's that? Oh, you have a TwitchCon 2018 thing. I don't see that very often. That's cool. Is it true that grammar doesn't matter with marketing? Yeah, it doesn't matter at all. I will teach you how to get me rich. Pretty much, my dude. Yeah. Yeah, good copywriting is an unbelievably good skill. I always recommend that people that are getting into business understand how to write good copy because it's one of you can make so much money if you know how to sell. It's crazy. It's actually crazy. If I look at Twitch streamers like Moon versus other Twitch streamers that don't understand calls to action, Jesus, the difference is so crazy. Like there's lots of people that are bigger than Moon, but Moon by sub count has way more subs. Twitch. This isn't an exact appropriation, but you'll see that like Moon is on this list as number 8, and then pretty much like every streamer below him is like a way bigger broadcaster, but has far less subs. Soda Poppin is a way bigger broadcaster than Moon, but Soda Poppin never does calls of action for people to subscribe to him. Like this guy's a fucking genius, right? Because he's always telling people that they should subscribe to him and telling them how to support him. Ninja does the same thing. All these people are massive, right? This is true with everything you do. Everything you do in life, if you know how to sell, it'll help you. Like that is a skill. If you guys are below 30, you should be learning that full stop. When I refer to copy hat map, I'm referring to copywriting, which means how you write advertisements, basically. Yeah, Geek and Sundry literally just because of Critical Role. Now that's another thing, right? One day a week, they run a show for 4 hours and they have that many subs. Anyway, good stuff.